Hey everyone, I'm Dane,
And I'm Meg.
and this is DMUS the podcast, episode 1.
And we're coming to you from lockdown due to COVID-19. And we thought we would start this podcast for your entertainment.
Some of the main topics we're going to talk to you with this podcast is going to be about true crime, myths, conspiracy theories, that sort of thing if you're into it. And we're going to put in a couple small topics there, just some small things like random facts and brain teasers and whatnot. Hopefully you enjoy. This episode is going to be about the true crime case of William Tyrrell.
Okay, our first episode is on the disappearance of 3-year-old William Tyrrell, who has been missing since September 2014. So it all started on the 11th of September 2014 when William Tyrrell's foster parents made a last-minute decision on the 11th of September to pick William and his slightly older sister up from daycare in Sydney and make the 4-hour drive to a small town of Kendal in New South Wales in Australia. So Kendal is about 4 hours north of Sydney and about half an hour south of Port Macquarie.
So pretty much the reason they took this trip was to visit their grandmother and stay at her house. Now, one thing to note is the grandmother's house sits across the road from Kendal State Forest, and there's actually a 60 minutes kind of documentary on it, which you can look up on YouTube, or we'll have a link in it in the show notes down below, that it's on this whole case, but it kind of shows you the area of her house and what it looks like. But pretty much looking at it, it's pretty bushy, a lot of trees around, and it backs. She lives on a cul-de-sac, so it's pretty much a one-way street that she can go on.
And the road joins up with a dirt track that leads into the bush, which is, I think, across the road from his grandma's house. But yeah, the grandma lives on a pretty big block of land. It's pretty decent, and the house is pushed back from the road.
It's not right on the street.
So the front yard is kind of bigger than the backyard, and there's a few trees, but not that many.
Yeah, it's still pretty spacious. You'd be able to see what's going on there compared to what's up the back, where it's pretty much just all bushland and trees.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, so they get to the house, and then the next morning, which is now the 12th of September, on Friday, William, the little boy, dresses in his favourite Spider-Man suit, and there's actually a photo of him wearing it the day of his disappearance. So if you Google that, you'll actually be able to find that photo of him in his Spider-Man suit, and I believe that this photo was taken minutes before he disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah, so pretty much...
That's the photo that's that we see in the newspapers and that they use everywhere.
Yeah, that's the big stock photo of it. It's a little bit sad because it's a really nice photo of him.
Yeah, so
pretty cute kid. But anyway, so his dad goes into town to get better phone reception and run some errands for a short time. And meanwhile, William and his sister and his mum go outside to play in the big yard, which we're saying where there are some trees and it's still pretty spacious. Playing games. It was around 10:30 a.m. when William's mum and grandmother are sitting down on the back patio, which if you look in the 60 Minutes documentary, it's a pretty small deck. It's not that big.
Yeah, and then
you can't fit too much.
It goes down into a little grassy area where there's a little garden, and then you turn the corner and go around the side of the house, and then the front yard, I guess, kind of opens up.
Yeah.
And is bigger, and it slopes down towards the road.
Yeah, so something to note is the house is on a hill where it slopes down toward the road, where it's a little bit clearer, and behind that it actually goes uphill into kind of forest.
Yeah.
So anyway, they were playing outside, and he was in his Spider-Man suit, and he was playing this little roar game that he does where he's jumping around and roaring. Pretty much he jumped off and he was playing on the grass area where they could still see him, but then he went around the corner of the house towards a tree where he was playing in earlier that morning.
So the detective thinks that he walks around the corner and down the slope of the front yard, which is towards the road.
Yeah. And anyway, the mother could still hear him roaring, so she obviously thought that he was safe and everything. I guess she was chatting to the grandmother. You just don't know what you can get caught up in.
This would have been like a matter of like seconds.
Yeah, so you just hear the roar and then nothing. So she doesn't hear anything after that. And then the last thing she saw and heard him was walking around the corner, playing his Ra game where he roars and jumps about. But then silence, and now he's gone.
Which is when they assume that he is walking down towards the road.
Towards the road, yeah. They didn't think that he walked back up towards the back. And I think, is that they probably could have seen from the back area if he didn't go around the corner of the house, if he kept walking back up. So they must have assumed that he went down towards the road.
Yeah.
Now, there was this little game that William and his sister played when their dad comes back, and pretty much they go wait at the front gate and they wait for their dad to get back home. And that's what the mum thought that they were doing. So she went to look for him and she was calling out saying, "Can you see Dad?" But then she realises that William's gone and she starts running around looking for him. Now, she can't find him, obviously, and William's dad returns home and joins. They've gotten the neighbours in on this, and they're all searching for William. The parents don't believe that he would have just wandered off, so obviously they've thought that something's happened to him. So that's why they decided to call the police after they weren't able to find him after a certain amount of time.
Yep.
Now, the 000 call is actually on the 60 Minutes video, if you're interested and you want to go see that. But pretty much the police arrive and they search the house with the family in case William is hiding inside there, in case he wants, playing hide and seek, because many young kids do.
Yeah.
However, and the police also noted that the parents were very distraught, which adds to a thing of, obviously it doesn't seem like the parents are trying to get rid of their own kid.
No, they seem pretty genuine.
Yeah.
When they're being interviewed, and obviously if you go and have a look at the video, you can definitely see that.
Yeah. Now, by the end of the day, they've got 200 police, locals and SES were searching through the night. So pretty much 200 total, I'm assuming.
Yeah, like
of those
police and
groups.
volunteers.
Yeah. Yeah, so pretty much they searched all through the night and they couldn't find anything. So they sent out a detective who was a local from Kendall.
Yeah, so she was the first detective on the scene, I guess. And basically in the 60 Minutes episode, she just basically says, as soon as I got here, I just thought something wasn't right, and William's not missing. She thought if he was missing, we would have found him by now. If he walked up into the bush, got a bit lost, we would have found him by now.
She's a local, so she kind of knows the area and knows the kind of neighbourhood, what everyone's like there.
So she's just saying that that's her gut instinct, like something's not right. I think he's been taken, because she reckoned, if he was just missing, we would have found him by now. Yeah,
with all those people out there, surely you would have found something, even if it was just a bit of his Spider-Man clothing or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Or some tracks, just whatever he might have left behind.
Tracks,
People might have heard him yelling out or something. But anyway, a week of searching and he still couldn't be found. And they searched all the bush and waterways, even dams were searched. So that's when the police tell the family to pretty much return back to
home.
Sydney.
Yep.
Obviously without their kid. Anyway, so it turns into a full investigation, and they're actually trying to get suspects involved.
Yep.
And about 1,000 people were interviewed within the first year already. They came up with a person of interest, which I believe Bill Spedding.
Yeah, I think it's Bill Spedding,
Spedding. And he had been at the grandmother's house repairing the washing machine, and William's mother had called him the night before to ask when a part for the washing machine was coming in so he could fix the washing machine. And it was later found out that he had unrelated charges of child sex offences dating back to the 80s.
Yeah, so there was a bit of like debate on this, like, he's a washing machine repairman. He went to the grandmother's house 3 days before, and then the mum gets there the night before. William's mum gets there the night before and just gives him a call and says, like, when's the part coming in? So I don't believe that she even mentioned that William was even there. So it's kind of like, how would he really have known?
Yeah, it's a bit of a throw off to think just because she
little
got
bit
a
of a
call
stretch.
from her that the whole
That
family
the whole
must be
family was
staying
there.
there.
Unless she mentioned it, I can't remember if that was said, but as far as I know, she didn't mention it, and yeah, it's a bit of a stretch, but fair enough. Like, he had been in the house and he was expected back. He knew where she lived. But yeah, basically,
Yeah.
they did an interview with him like a couple of years after he was. I'm pretty sure he wasn't charged. Like,
Right.
he was the first suspect, and I don't think he ended up being charged or anything. And it was a little bit sad. He did an interview and said, like, it ruined his business. It really ruined his life.
If everyone thought he was the first suspect, obviously that just would have destroyed his reputation.
And the lead detective who took over the case, his approach was like pretty like going hard on the suspect. So
yeah, a lot of them are. They try and get a name or a person there for people to focus on pretty well.
Yeah, so it was all over the news.
It buys them more time as well.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
otherwise they ask, what are the police doing? What have you got? And they just have nothing. It doesn't seem like they're doing a really good job. So they like to try and put someone out there.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and I feel like they have to, for the family's sake and for the public as well, they have to have a suspect.
Yeah. Yeah,
especially in the first year.
Or if not a suspect, at least a person of interest.
Person of interest, yeah, exactly. So anyways, he's the first person of interest, I guess. And the second person of interest, his name is Paul Savage.
Pretty savage.
And I know, unfortunate name. So he lived across the road from William's grandma's house at the time. And he had...
They put listening devices in his house and car?
Yeah, so there's a bit of controversy over, at the moment, going on in the news. The detective actually illegally recorded this guy.
Which means they can't use it in court.
Yes, they can't use it in court, but he also legally recorded him, so it was, I think he did both.
Right.
Because he felt like he was a really good suspect, so that's why he went ahead and like put listening devices everywhere. So basically this guy, he's a bit older, and his wife was alive at the time of William's disappearance, but then she soon passed away. And when they put the listening devices in his house and in his car, he was recorded talking to himself, or what the detectives thought was he was actually talking to his late wife, which I think is pretty normal. Like,
wait, was she dead at the time?
Yeah, so she was alive at the time of William's she was alive at the time of his disappearance.
Oh, okay.
And then soon after passed away, I believe.
But when they were
so when he
recording
became a suspect, she had passed away.
Right, so when they were
and
recording
he was
him
talking to her,
talking
they
to
think.
his dead wife.
Yeah, but he was recorded saying weird things like, "Don't tell anyone, love. They're right after me. Sorry." Like, he was recorded saying like suspicious things to himself.
Are those recordings out there anywhere, do you know?
No, but I did listen to a podcast, and it was like used in court, so they must have it. Yeah. But they're not released to the public.
I just thought it would have been interesting if we could have heard some of that.
I know. I think, and a bit of the controversy that surrounds it as well is that some of the police who were involved in the case don't think that you can actually hear it clear enough, like the recording. So it's like, is he actually saying that? But
yeah, you need pretty conclusive stuff.
Yeah. If you just Google like podcasts on William Tyrrell, there's a couple out there, and some of them have the lead detective interviewing Paul Savage. And basically what he says is, his theory is that him or his wife accidentally ran him over and covered it up. So he says, it's fine, did you accidentally...
They ran over William.
William, and covered it up. So he's not actually accusing him of taking him, he's accusing him of accidentally doing so.
But surely if they ran him over, you'd see the family would have saw blood or something.
That's what they're saying. Like,
yeah, I think that's a bit of a stretch.
That's what he said. He said if my wife ran him over, she would have screamed. Like, she would have felt bad. I wouldn't have covered up. So he like denies.
I don't think. Yeah, I think if you got that many people out there searching that quickly, and he's disappeared that quickly, I don't think that you're going to be able to cover it up
that quick,
because they went out and got the neighbours.
Yeah, I don't know, but
and if he lives across from William's grandmother's, I'm sure they definitely would have checked that area.
You would have heard.
You'd have heard, seen something to get all that. If he was run over, killed, got rid of, there would have been blood and stuff.
Yeah.
There would have been marks on the car.
And like the mum specifically says in the 60 Minutes episode, all I heard was silence. Like she says, I remember it was silent. I could hear like birds. I could hear.
That's right.
Like, just pure silence. So,
of course, we haven't heard the recordings, but I find it very unlikely that that's the scenario.
Yeah, unless he, like, abducted him.
Yeah.
But the detective seems to go down the path of, did you accidentally run him over? Or your wife at the time.
Alright, so anyway, that's Frank Savage. So, that's Paul Savage. Sorry, and now there's Frank Abbott.
Yeah.
Now, he's a convicted pedophile.
He's a convicted pedophile, and he's a convicted child sex offender. So he is one of the
bad ones.
Prime suspects, I believe.
Yeah. Alright. So what I'm saying here is he supposedly bragged about knowing where William was buried.
Yeah.
Where he had been buried by another local man, Jeff Owens, who worked on the same street.
Yeah, I believe Frank Abbott lived, I think, 5 k's away from William Tyrrell's grandmother's house on a property which was owned by other people.
Do you know roughly how big the property is?
No, I'm not sure, but I do know that it has been searched.
Right.
The police have searched it quite recently, I think.
So obviously it's bigger than just like a normal residential house.
Well, I think he did work for them actually, so it probably is a big property, yeah.
So it's got a little bit of land.
I think he just lived in like a trailer and did work for them.
Okay.
But basically he was telling them things like this, like, I know where William is buried, or I've gotten away with murder before. He said weird things like that, but he accused another local man, Jeff Owens, of burying him, because apparently Jeff Owens, I think, something like did work for the grandma or something to do with the grandma's house.
Obviously the police would have interviewed this guy.
I haven't actually seen anything about Jeff Owen, but Frank Abbott.
No, I'm talking about Frank Abbott, so obviously, if he bragged about knowing where he's buried and they haven't found the burial site or anything of that, I think it's all just rumours.
Well, yeah, maybe. Well, so there's this guy, Ray Porter.
Yeah.
So he was in an aged care home before he passed away. And a nurse, I think 2 nurses actually came out and said that he told them, so Ray Porter told 2 nurses that he drove his friend, Frank Abbott, and a little boy 300 kilometers north away from Kendall on like that day. Right. So he's told them that. And then the nurse said, do you mean William Tyrrell? And he says, yes. Oh. And then soon after he passed away. So,
as in Frank Abbott passed away, or Ray?
No, Ray passed away after confessing that to the nurses. And then other people in town have said that they're scared of this Frank Abbott guy.
Right.
And he says to people he knows where he's buried. Like, this
so
guy's
he's a bit of
creep.
A loose cannon.
Yeah, this guy's a bit of a creep. So those are the main suspects in this case.
What, 3 of them?
Yeah.
Frank.
Maybe 4. 3 or 4.
Bill, Paul and Frank.
I couldn't find much information on Jeff Owens. I didn't actually have that much.
Alright. So, of course, none of them were convicted for this.
No, I believe...
still unsolved, isn't it?
It is. I believe Frank Abbott is in jail for something else, though.
Right. There you have it. Right, so we looked a little bit more into Jeff Owen, and we couldn't really find too much on him. So pretty much we thought that just Frank Abbott just kind of used him to try and accuse him to kind of get the name off his back, really.
Yeah,
Or the
or
eyes.
he reckons like that he might be buried on like Jeff Owens' property or something weird like that. That's what he's accusing him of.
Yeah. Alright. So who do you think did it? If you had to take a guess.
I don't know.
It's hard looking at all
If I had
these
to
people.
pick
I
which
definitely don't
creep-
think it was the washing machine repair
No,
guy.
I actually don't think it was the washing machine repair guy. I don't know so much as like who I think did it, but I definitely do think he was taken. So
Something we left out before, which could add to it, is...
yeah. So that morning, the mum says that she saw two cars parked across the road from the grandmother's house with their front windows down. And
Yeah.
so I think it was what the detective and her was saying is that they were parked in between driveways.
So it's like on the side of the street. Side of the road. kind of thing.
I
Instead
don't
of in
know.
the driveway.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like normal to me. Like, if I park at your house, I park on the road.
Yeah.
But what they're saying here is they have big properties.
Well, yeah, when you look
in this place.
When you've seen the properties, it kind of does look like they do keep them in the driveways. And when they had the photo, there was no cars on the side of the road.
Well,
or
yeah, when
anything.
they were like doing this show,
Yeah.
there's no cars parked on the street. So that's what they're saying. They reckon in this town of Kendall, they have big properties, and for the most part, people drive in people's driveways. They don't park on the
Parking
street.
in their driveways, yeah.
Yeah, people park in their driveways. If you go to visit somebody, you park in their driveway, not on the street. So they thought it was strange that these two cars were parked in between driveways on the street across from William Tyrrell's grandmother's house
On the same morning
on that morning.
that
And
he disappears.
Yeah,
I
so,
guess if
yes.
that's a bit out of the norm, then yeah.
Yeah, so that's what they reckon, and they don't know the makes and the models of these cars, but like they did like a sketch of them from her
Yeah.
memory, and one's like a white station wagon and the other one's a grey sedan. And also what they said is that to William they could have looked similar to his dad's car.
Right. So he might have walked up to it.
So that also connects how they were
Did-
saying he ran down
Yeah.
and maybe thought
To
his
play
dad was
that game,
home. Like,
yeah.
oh, my dad's home, I'm going to run down and see him. Because
Did-
they were parked there.
Did she say that... Were they just parked there, or did she say that there were people in the car? Could she see, like... Did she say anything on
I
that?
don't recall.
Yeah, so pretty much she didn't see anyone in the cars, because the driver windows were down.
Yeah, I
But they
think
were
it was
just
from
parked
a
pretty
long
close
distance.
to each other. Yeah.
A long distance away. She probably wouldn't been able to see.
Right. So yeah, there's all this information out. They still haven't got it solved, and pretty much the recent news that's come out about it is there was 407 sightings after a year of people that think they saw William.
Yeah, there's still a few people that think that they see him around. There was one man after all this happened that really thought that he saw William in a car
Yeah.
in his Spider-Man suit, and then actually a lady came out and said, my son was in a Spider-Man suit that day,
Oh.
and she heard
The
about
same day.
yeah, and she heard, like, she was in the neighborhood and she
Right.
heard that he went missing in his Spider-Man suit, and she made her kid take it off.
Yeah. I
So
was
she
gonna say
reckons
you'd wanna
you might
take
have
it off.
seen my son
Right.
in the car.
Unless
This
that's
must
a
have been
good
when
cover if
Spider-
she was the one that took him.
Yeah, well, this must have been when Spider-Man was big, 2014.
Well, yeah,
All
I think
these
one of
kids in a
the new
Spider-Man
Spider-Mans
suit.
did. Spider-Man's pretty popular anyway, but
Yeah.
that could have been
That's
one
a
of the ones
coincidence.
with Andrew Garfield, like Electro Man or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a bit of a coincidence, but it's still possible.
I don't know. Kids like to dress up all the time, so
Like, imagine...
I don't know how busy the town is with
Yeah.
Kendall and everything.
Imagine, like, seeing cars in passing, like, how many things you really remember.
Yeah, like we could have seen. You can when you drive on the road, you probably see 1,000 different things, and you can probably only remember 10.
Yeah.
So it's hard to recall everything, especially if you're not looking for it.
Yeah, because he's, like, adamant that he saw William in the car that day. Because he
Yeah.
was, like, he was wearing a Spider-Man suit, da-da-da. But there's no, like, evidence to suggest that that's true. So that's a possible sighting as well.
That's right. Pretty much what I reckon. I mean, it
Yeah,
could
what do
be.
you think?
It could be anyone, to be honest. I do think that he would have got abducted if they couldn't find anyone. So I think he's probably been stolen, taken by someone,
Yeah.
and he just hasn't been found, because even though there is that photo out there, it's pretty hard to distinguish a little boy, because obviously he grows up, he changes a little bit. You know, you can change a lot with a different set of clothes, a haircut, especially when they're so young, you know.
That's true.
It can be a little bit hard for people to find what's going on, but it is still an open case. However, it's been stopped because of COVID-19.
Okay, so I just wanted to mention that one of the reasons why we wanted to do this case is because it's in the news. It's been in the news lately. So the lead detective that took over the case and has been on the case pretty much since the beginning, he's been accused, I think I mentioned earlier, and I think he's been recently convicted, like in the last few days, of illegally recording one of the suspects, Paul Savage. I think he recorded him on like a number of different occasions.
Yeah, so you said that someone had illegally recorded him, I think the detective, but you never said he was accused and convicted, so that's pretty big that it's come out like that.
Yeah, so it's been in the news for the last like few months. The court proceedings have been going on, and the inquest into the lead detective and just the disappearance in general.
Currently it's April the 4th, the 4th month 2020, just for a timestamp reference.
Yes, okay, yeah, we're in April right now, so yeah, he's just recently been convicted of illegally recording, and he has said that like he doesn't feel good about the fact that he did that, and he feels that it's unfortunate that they're putting all these resources into convicting him instead of looking for William Tyrrell.
Yeah, back in the case.
Because the family, William's parents, actually stand by the detective, and I also, like, in the interviews and stuff, I think he seems pretty legit. He seems like he's been working hard.
Yeah, but at the same time, if they're going about it the wrong way, you do need to crack down on that. Otherwise, it leaves for everyone else to follow suit.
That's true.
And then it's going to be a bit muddled. So pretty much, I think you do need to kind of tell them, you know, set an example that you can't do that.
Yeah, for sure.
Even if it was good intentions, just someone can't do it with bad intentions.
That's right. He says it like it was good intentions. He felt like he could do it and it was okay, but it wasn't. And the family are just really disappointed that there's so much like drama going on inside the police force, and that they can't just focus on finding their son, which is fair enough.
Yeah.
But all in all, I think he seems okay, but he is off the case now. I'm pretty sure he's resigned or he's been fired or whatever.
I'm pretty sure after you get accused and convicted of that, they wouldn't
you're off the case.
Yeah.
Which is disappointing because he's been working it from the beginning, and he knows probably
the most about it.
Yeah. And he seems like he really cares, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. And
still an open case, and hopefully one day they find William.
Yeah, and there might be news to come.
Yeah. Because
it's been shut down because of COVID-19, so there might be more information to come that will keep you posted.
Yeah, it's not released yet, but anyway, pretty much to summarise.
Just to sum it up.
What do you think happened?
I think I'm going to go with what the detective thinks is that he was just playing, and he goes around the front of the house and he either thinks that he sees his dad's car, or he just wants to go and wait for his dad, so he makes his way down to the road.
Do you think one of those cars were the one that took him, that were waiting outside?
I think it's a definite possibility because the family and the grandma seem to think that nobody parked in the street.
Yeah.
I don't think it's crazy.
No,
that
but
people are parked in the street.
Then I feel like if you live in that street, you kind of know what goes on and what is weird.
That's true. You definitely.
I kind of know all the cars that are in my street, and if some random car turns up that's not there, I would notice it, and you know.
That is true. There was a car parked on my street one time, and my road is busy, and it actually ended up being like a big deal
Yeah,
because no one ever stops their car there.
exactly. So if you know your own street, I
Yeah.
feel like that's why she pointed it out, because it is
So I think,
unusual.
yeah, I think should trust in what, like, their instincts, the family.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think what I'm kind of iffy about is the detective did say, like, random abductions, especially in, like, a dead-end street, like, what are the odds?
Very
like,
uncommon, yeah.
So they think that it was on purpose, but then it was a last-minute decision to go up there to visit the grandma, so who knew they were there?
Yeah, they definitely couldn't have planned it.
Because it was literally, like, the morning after they got there. They got there that afternoon, or that night, and then woke up the next morning, go outside to play. So I think maybe it was a crime of opportunity.
Yeah, I feel like it has to be, because I guess it depends if the parents had been talking about it, just with anyone, if they were thinking
Maybe the
about
grandma.
visiting. Yeah, maybe they were thinking about visiting in the following few weeks, and the grandma had been telling people that, oh, my family's going to come visit me, and they've just, kept eyes on the house. But to be that quick, even just a day after,
Yeah, it seems strange.
yeah, I do think it's most likely opportunistic, and I think he got taken, and he's probably still out there, and hopefully he's found and returned to his proper family.
Yeah, no matter what, hopefully he is found, and hopefully there's more information to come after this inquest, and hopefully they put more resources on finding him instead of, investigating the police force. I mean, it is good to investigate the police force if they're doing the wrong thing, but at the end of the day...
you need them to follow the book.
Yeah, at the end of the day, as long as...
Because if you can't trust the police, then who can you trust?
Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, as long as they're focusing on finding William,
yeah,
that's all that matters. But yeah, thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed that.
Yeah, hopefully it's okay. This is our first podcast.
Yeah, any support would be really helpful, really nice. Good or bad, your feedback is appreciated, because it helps us get a lot better at this as well, and what we can work on.
Not bad.
Yeah, we
constructive
can take
criticism.
Yeah, that's bad. You can add it in. It's fine. But pretty much what we wanted to do to end this is go to one of our smaller topics. I've got a brain teaser here for you guys. So I'll tell you the brain teaser at the end of this episode, and then the next episode, maybe at the beginning, I guess I'll give the answer, and that way it's something a little bit more to think about. But this way, at least you have a definite answer. So, yeah. If you're ready for this one, I'll read it out now. So, only one colour, but not one size. Stuck at the bottom, yet easily flies. Present in sun, but not in rain. Doing no harm, and feeling no pain. What is it?
What is it?
That's right. So, we'll have the answer for you guys next episode, and we really hope that you enjoyed. This is Dane and Meg signing off. See you next episode.